Call to order the regular session of the Gladstone City Commission. First order of business will be the invocation said by Commissioner Olson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise, please.
Bow our head for a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this beautiful summer weather that we're having. We want to thank you for the opportunity to be the playground of the area. And we want to ask that you be with us tonight, make wise decisions, make them in your honor. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stand with the roll call, please.
Mayor Hunter,
Here.
Commissioner Gay,
Here.
Commissioner Olson,
Here.
Commissioner Mattinen,
Here.
Commissioner Mackey.
Here.
Everybody's here. Welcome back, Commissioner Mackey, from your trip.
Thank you.
You're not missing any limbs from the Bears, so that's a good sign.
Well, the thing the guy told us is that you only have to make sure you're not the slowest person in the party.
That is correct. All right, next item will be the public comment, and before I open up to the public, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Falcon. This is for the City of Gladstone and a WPPI scholarship recipient, the Miss Anissa Godfrey.
This is one of the, Brett Nemey's with us tonight too. He's with WPPI. So the money that we receive from WPPI, there's a couple different categories that qualifies for this money. And there was two people that wrote a paper on the value of public power. So we had a team put together and we read through the papers, and it's for a $1,000 scholarship. So we wanted to publicly present that to Ms. Godfrey tonight and wish her well in college. So I know maybe just a picture with Brett and I, or if you want to do it with Brett.
No, you go right ahead.
And Anissa for our website and clip on it. Or.
This young lady's been a presenter at Gladstone Lions Club meetings before for the Science Olympiad.
Did you have anything to say about it?
No, I just, Anissa, congratulations. Thank you for putting the application in for the Public Power Scholarship. $1,000 goes well for your future ventures in school.
Thank you very much.
So if you don't mind, really quick, while we're getting this together, what do you plan on studying?
I'm going into English and Spanish education.
Very good.
And I'll be going to a school affiliated with my church. It's called North Central University. It's in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Very good. Very good.
English is supposed to be an excellent language to learn because of the growing amount of people. Really?
We had graduate school just emailing that right to her home, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Congratulations.
I just, kind of the topic of my paper, I decided to go with a different perspective on power, and I kind of talked about how it's important in the local government that the citizens have a right to power now that it's in existence. And I brought up, I don't know if any of you have seen the show Revolution, and it's about where the government decides to take control of power and keep it from the citizens and only the high up get it. So I used that show and I used discussion of government and talking about their role in power and how it's important that now that we have it, our citizens should have it to make our lives easier. So it's kind of what I talked about.
Thank you. Good luck.
A different perspective. I don't even think about it anymore.
Okay, this is still the time for public comment. If anybody would like to address the commission, the only thing I'd ask is step to the podium, state your name and business, and feel free to address the commission. All right, we're going to move on then to the consent agenda. We have the City Commission regular meeting minutes of May 20, 2013, City Commission special meeting minutes of June 3rd, 2013, in the Parks and Recreation regular meeting minutes of May 7, 2013.
I move that we accept the minutes, or the consent agenda as corrected.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and supported by Commissioner Mattinen. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, next item on the agenda will be the public hearing for proposed ordinance number 590. It's the amendment to purchase and contracts and purchasing and bidding policy. Ms. Falk.
May 20th, we introduced this to the commission and did the advertising for the public hearing tonight, so we need to conduct the public hearing. We've been wanting to do this for quite a while, as we said when we presented it to you guys. Like the $500 payment of bills, that was when it was set to be $500 was so many years ago. It's hard to buy a part these days for less than $500. So we created the purchasing and bidding policy, and this can be changed, through the commission much more easily than an ordinance can be. So we're kind of limiting actually what's in the ordinance and then following the policy. If for some reason we feel the amounts that we've set aren't sufficient, they can be changed, by the commission. So.
Okay, is there any questions before I open this up to public? Okay, none from the commission. All right, I'm going to open this up for public hearing at 7:05 p.m. I usually try to open this up for about a minute, and usually it's the longest minute to the commission, except when I'm talking. I think it's even longer. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing, 7:06 p.m. Is there any questions from Ms. Falcon before we move on? None? Okay, if there's not any questions from Ms. Falcon, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Gotcha.
I have a motion supported by Commissioner Gay. Is there any further discussion?
Just a comment, really. I like the policy. I like the purchasing and bidding policy. It's concise, it's not cumbersome, it's easy to work with. Good job.
One page.
Less red tape that way. Anything else? All right. The motion is supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Ordinance number 590. Very good, nice job. All right, next item on the agenda will be we're moving past unfinished business. I got ahead of myself. New business now. And the next item will be new business, DDA appointment, Mr. Tom Dykowski. Ms. Falcon?
I went and met with Mr. Dykowski a couple weeks ago and invited him to fill out an application to be on our DDA board. Staff and I feel that Tom can bring some expertise to the DDA board, that you want to kind of have a variety of people at the table when you're talking about projects and certain things that DDA approve. Annual budget of about $250,000. So we put that invitation out there. We previously had an engineer on the DDA board, and he just brought a lot of knowledge and expertise to the table. So being a business in our DDA, he qualifies to, the appointment is to a person, but because the business is in the DDA district, that would be the, seat that he fills. So with the vacancy of Mr. Dave Hearn, we would like to appoint Mr. Tom Dykowski, and his term would expire May 1st, 2015. So he would be filling the rest of Dave's term. So,
Excuse me. I talked to Tom briefly and thanked him for putting his name in the hat, so to speak, for wanting to jump on board to serve on a board. It's difficult. We do have some other openings, so it's nice to see him stepping up. And I agree with Darla. We had Tom Cretin that was on the board before. He was an engineer, and it was nice when we had our projects. And I think that Tom Dykowski, Mr. Dykowski, could bring some of those same aspects to the table. So I mean, he's already involved with one of the projects that we have going right now with the Delta Avenue and North 9th Street project. So it makes that, to me, as an added bonus for having somebody like that on the board. Excuse me. So if there isn't any issues, I would have consent from the commission to appoint him. Very good. All right. Thank you. So appointed. All right. Next item on the agenda will be metal detecting request. Ms. Falcon.
yep. We have with us tonight Mr. Bill Bruner. Bill and I have met quite a few times over the last few years regarding metal detecting within the city limits, in the park and in the campground and in certain areas. And I've talked to our Parks and Recreation Director about this. We went to the Rec Board with a similar request. And the way we are all interpreting the current ordinance, ordinance number 486 is for Parks and Recreation specifically. And we feel that ordinance prohibits people from metal detecting on the grass areas in our parks. It's identified as turf. And so we're trying to find a solution. The Parks and Recreation ordinance was written many years ago. Maybe that needs to be revisited. And with the popularity of metal detecting these days, maybe a policy needs to be created or something to allow it, or let it go back to the various boards that we have. Planning Commission could review the ordinance and see if there's a happy medium that we can find to allow it somewhere or nowhere, or finally make a decision. And
This is currently being allowed in all areas except the grass, the turf?
they can metal detect, like on the sand portion of the beaches,
In the water,
in the water.
ski
Yeah.
hill. Playgrounds with
Ski hill.
wood chips.
What's the impact to the turf itself?
None of it's done right.
Okay, that's
Mr.
But
Bruner, can I
that's-
get,
Could we make this a policy?
Can you-
Mr. Bruner, can I get you to go to the podium, please? Thank you.
Could we make this a policy instead of an ordinance? Would be a lot easier, wouldn't it?
We could look at that, yep.
Right now, you're suggesting we get some guidance from the Parks and Recreation Board and Planning Commission?
I brought this to Parks and Recreation a year ago, and they said they don't want metal detecting in the grass area. They interpret that as turf.
So essentially, then, is it correct that the City Commission is being asked to overrule that?
Well, maybe there needs to be other, points brought to the table if we
Was
could create
Bill
a
there?
policy.
Did you address the Parks and Recreation Board, Bill?
No, I was here under public comments about a year or so
In
ago.
front of us before?
Yeah.
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 So are you suggesting maybe Mr. Bruner would like to take him to the Parks and Recreation Board and see what they have to say again, or?
I offered to do demonstrations on how to do it, and I got 25 members in our club now.
Yeah, I read your letter.
Yeah, we're the only club in the UP. But if we do demonstrations, the only argument against that is, like you said, is what if they're not in the club and didn't learn how to do it right?
Right.
Then you deal with them. You cite them when they're doing it, or at least give them a warning.
And I think that's where we'd look at it as an ordinance, because it would give us more teeth, so to speak, to be able to effectively deal with those individuals on a case-by-case basis. Whereas a policy, it doesn't give us much of a bite.
I don't know of any city in the Upper Peninsula that specifically has signs saying no metal detecting or metal detecting allowed in any of the parks.
Do we have a copy of that ordinance in here or
No.
I was just kind of curious.
I got it right here.
It sounds to me like the rec board's interpreting the ordinance. So
486 KK.
Is,
There's about 3 or 4 pages in there.
okay.
Yeah,
Is the
that's
rec
quite a ways
board,
back.
Oh, that's okay.
It's right here with
I'll
the pink
find it.
one is.
All right. I was just curious what. Thank you.
is the rec board against metal detecting, or are they just wanting to follow the ordinance?
They are interpreting the ordinance to say no turf, and that's the grass areas in the parks. So that's their interpretation of the ordinance.
Okay.
So that's why I said, it sounds almost like we're trying to say, well, we disagree with that and we're going to override them. And that's why I would suggest, in order for this to flow right, that you probably should address those boards and see what they have to say before we try and make a decision.
But I think when we go back to them, we need to have something, what do you think of this? Would you allow this or consider this?
Well, I think, first of all, if
Not
they haven't
just
seen
interpreting
Bill's
the
letter,
ordinance.
Right.
Bill's letter explains
I
it
just
pretty
wrote
well.
this.
The way this reads, it's the subtitle is defacing property and trees. No person shall cut, break, climb in, or in any way injure or deface any tree, shrub, plant, or turf, nor write, draw, paint, or spray any of the buildings, fences, bridges, lamps, posts, or other structure or property within the city park system. So they're interpreting the act of metal detecting to be defacing property.
That's if they end up digging up
It
anything.
isn't.
Right.
Because if you put
Right,
the
so-
plug back in, you're
Right,
not
so-
defacing nothing. It's
so-
back the way it was.
So what it sounds to me like we're looking at is an interpretation.
Right.
And so we could clarify that as an exception, and I think that's what the Darla's talking about, is if you put an exception in there where metal detecting is a permissible activity and excluded from that section,
But-
that's why,
Wouldn't we need to define, because
Yeah,
the
you would.
reason
yes.
Mr. Bruner came to us a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever, there were people metal detecting in our park that were not doing it properly. So we have to enforce the ordinance, that's how we interpreted it, no metal detecting.
Well,
I can't blame you for that.
So,
Let's look at the staff recommendation. The recommendation from our staff is to ask the department heads and the planning commission to review the existing ordinances and submit a recommendation back to us. So that's why I think probably what you're suggesting is that Mr. Brunner go before those bodies and have a discussion with those bodies before we make a decision.
Be more than happy to do that.
Yeah.
but the ordinance says no defacing of property. So you could go down there and metal detect if you did it properly.
Right, and the argument is that what if they don't do it properly, and then
Right.
cite them. Boil them in oil or tar them
Well,
together and do what you
you've
want.
had some problems with people here in Gladstone over this, right? And so you want to get this clarified so you can do it properly, right?
Right.
Right.
The claim was before, long before the recreation director, the present one was even on the recreation, and before you were here, and I think it was before the last 2 commissioners, the interim ones were here, that 5 guys went through the park and left holes all over the place. Skunks leave holes, dogs leave holes, and some detectivists leave holes. But deal with them. Like I said in my letter before and now, there's graffiti all over there, or there was graffiti all over that dock out there. You didn't close that down. You got an ordinance against dogs defecating in the park. They're supposed to be on leashes and they're supposed to carry a bag. How many people have been cited for that? Who looks over it?
And that's the crux of the issue. Mr. Brunner has had some problems with some of our staff, right? And so you're looking for some clarification so we don't have any future problems.
Right.
But the bottom line is, though, we can't, from my opinion, and being in the business that I'm in, you can't just give a general exception for an act without defining some limitations. Because what we could have then is metal detecting, and no offense here, metal detecting, we have somebody that decides they want to dig 2 feet down or 3 feet down. Now, if you look at what it's saying, and we replace everything after digging that far down, does that mean it's defacing or not defacing? Or if we allow a general exception, do we have some guidelines of what that exception is? So
Well,
that's where.
The way I see it and looking at it from a legal aspect too, I'm not so sure that we would want to look at even mentioning metal detecting, but clarifying defacing. So, because I think that's actually what
We
the
put it
issue
back
is.
the way it was before we.
Right, but you, as you indicated, there were problems in the past, and that what those previous people did could be considered defacing, and
Well,
they
sure.
should be dealt with in that
They should have
respect.
been, they should have been.
But maybe it's more of a, we need more, need to add into the ordinance more clarification, so that if someone actually does it properly, as, you know, as you mentioned, and put everything back, that's not considered defacing. Because right now, it sounds like that whether you do it right or wrong, it's still considered defacing
The
and
first
not
thing we
permitted.
do with somebody that joined our club, we have a meeting sometimes in the park by the pavilion in Escanaba or here. And here, we don't take any metal detectors with us, and we show them, I make demonstrations on how to do it right. And when you detect a coin, most coins are only 6 or 7 inches deep. So that's about as deep as you would go. Anybody keeps digging after that, they don't know what they're doing.
And that's where the clarification needs to come into place.
Yeah. I even offered to charge a fee to metal detector. Get a permit, and you get it at the Department of Public Safety, and we would make a film on how to do it right, and I would make the film, and City Hall or Public Safety could have it before they ever got a permit to do it. And if somebody's down there detecting, any city employee can go up to them, or a police officer, and say, hey, do you have a permit? No. Well, then get over there and get one, or beat it. Or we'll tar and feather you.
I like that. I wish I could use that in my line of work.
I like boiling oil better.
There was, in your letter, there was an area that I always want to make sure that I'm looking at this and reading it the way you're writing it. It says park strips, the area between
That's-
the road and the south. You're looking at
Yeah,
what was
that's city
become the
property.
infamous
That's city
boulevard
property.
termination.
But you would want to get the, if we did get to do city property, I wouldn't do a park strip, because people that own that property adjacent to that, they mow it and they think it's theirs.
That
So
was-
I wouldn't do it without their
Okay.
permission, and I got
'Cause that was
in
one
here.
of the areas that's
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
first things I was shaking my
I
head
don't
no
detect
to.
any place without permission.
Okay.
I'd like to see staff get with the boards, or respective boards, and maybe, as Mr. Bruner indicated, provide him a meeting date and location, and maybe put together something to clarify defacing and allow for this activity, because I agree, if the activity is done properly, I don't think it should be restricted on city property.
We've been detecting in the city parks in Escanaba for 25 years and never had a problem.
I'll second that motion.
Was that a
Any,
motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Anybody else got any questions?
No, we're good. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I have a motion on the table and supported by Commissioner Olson. Did you?
Do you need me to restate that?
Yes, please restate.
Would move.
I have something, but yeah.
Move that, there you go, thank you. That staff involve Mr. Bruner in the process and get with the related boards to provide clarification to the term defacing, and, you know, a permit metal detecting, provided it's done properly. Is that okay?
And just so we know, any recommendation that comes, it has to come back before here, whether, because it might be amending an ordinance and stuff, so.
Yes.
Sure.
There might be a further process beyond that, but.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm,
That was seconded by Commissioner Olson.
yep.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? The only thing I'd like to add is, Commissioner Gay, when you're saying the appropriate, I'm thinking that you're meaning Parks and Rec and probably planning.
Yes.
Okay. I should have. Are we looking at anything other than those two?
Darla, is there any, no one else?
Okay. All right, very good. That's all I have. Okay. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Mr. Bruner, you're one step closer to having an answer. I'm not sure exactly what the outcome is going to be for you, but at least this is the procedure that we'll end up taking to try to get you your answer.
Yeah, I was misinformed before when I come here last year, the year before on public comment.
Oh,
I thought that that's what this was.
okay. No, well,
It's a
hopefully
learning
we'll,
experience.
yeah. Government red tape.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next item on the agenda would be the Scenic Shore Run Walk.
So the
Falcon?
schedule of events that you approved at the last meeting, we missed one. That's why it's before you tonight. Miss Donna Aird came in to see me a week or so ago, the morning of Crazy Days, Saturday, June 22nd at 10 a.m. They're going to have a 5K run/1 mile walk, and the map is in your packet here. Pretty much downtown, down to Saunders Point and back. Entry fee, $15 per person, $40 per family. Have quite a few run walks in our city.
You'll probably do the walk, huh?
Yeah.
I sure won't want to run.
Any questions for Ms. Falcon?
Were they planning to return on 9th Street? The map wasn't real clear the way it was drawn.
I took it as they were leaving the Senior Citizen Center on Superior,
Correct?
heading down to Saunders Point, come back along Minneapolis Avenue, down 9th to Michigan, down Michigan to 2nd, and then returning to Senior
Okay.
Citizen Center along Delta and Railway.
Okay, and that's okay with public safety?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you get winded, you can bypass the Michigan Avenue and just keep going down High Street, go shorter.
Yeah, right. I move that we authorize the Scenic Shore Run Walk to be held on June 22nd, 2013.
Support.
A motion and supported by Commissioner Mackey. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, next item will be the July 4th, 2013 fireworks display.
I see Paul's not with us tonight, but this is a standard procedure. We have to basically issue ourselves the permit, I guess, and because we light our own show, we don't contract that out with anybody. So the application is all filled out here in your packet. Actually, what, size shells that we have in our show, and we send this on to Lansing.
I move that we issue the permit for the July 4th, 2013 fireworks display.
Second.
Here we go
I
again.
don't know, that was
And a
close.
motion supported by Commissioner Olson.
Yeah, give it to him.
I'm close. Sound travel.
Yeah, I know.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. Hopefully the wind will cooperate this year. Okay, next item on the agenda will be the payoff of loans.
This is a schedule that we update every year, and we've had quite a bit of discussion on in the last couple of years. So I have 4 identified on here that I would like to pay off in July of 2013. The first one being the recreation building. Balance as of May 31st is $1,063. The regular maturity date would be March 30th, 2014. I think we can afford $1,000 and get that paid off and save a little bit of interest at the bank. The second one is the electric department loan. This was the financing that we did to put on the addition to the electric department and rebuild the garage across the street. Payoff is $458,000, and maturity date is October 16th, 2028. Quite a ways out there. As Tom, keeps an eye on cash in the electric fund, this was, this amount of money is what we were looking at paying off the public safety loan. But that, when we talked to Treasury, didn't make sense. So this is electric fund cash, electric fund loan. Why not pay off their own loan then? If they have, I didn't calculate how much interest that would save us, but we didn't
It's got to
have
be significant.
cash at the time, to pay off the whole thing. We did pay cash for quite a bit of what we could, the year we did the renovations. So this is kind of per Tom's recommendation too. Why not pay that loan off?
What balance does that leave for Tom then?
He would still have, I don't have that sheet with me. He still had, $1.5 million is really his bottom that he wants to be. He's at like 2.1 right now,
Okay,
so he'd still be at 1.6.
good. Thank you.
Yeah, it wouldn't go below his minimum threshold,
threshold.
so.
Okay.
And the third one, the 2009 GMC pickup, DPW originally purchased this, then when all the vehicles kind of went to their own departments, this vehicle is shared between water and wastewater. $1,800 balance. This November is the payoff anyway. Let's get that paid off in July. And then the fourth one would be, this is the MERS financing that we did in 2008. Originally $212,000, we're down to $23,195. Maturity is this November as well. If we can get that paid off in July with a little bit of tax revenue, I think that would save us some interest as well. So those 4 loans, I am proposing that we cut the checks next month.
Impact to the general fund balance?
Can't be significant, otherwise
No.
she wouldn't propose it to us, I'm guessing.
Well, the MERS one is all funds.
That's
So
what, that's the
that's
only reason I asked the question, was that it
minimal.
said all funds. I didn't know how much it was, how much of that was coming out of the general fund, so.
Minimal,
So the only one that really takes the direct hit is the recreation building.
yeah.
You get the, I mean, some from the
$1,000.
from the general fund as well for MERS.
$1,000, yeah.
But with a
What-
$23,000 balance.
Yeah.
What's the interest on that MERS loan? Do you have recollection? 4 or 5%?
Something like that,
So it's up, it's kind of up there by our standards.
yes.
Okay.
It was taken out in 2008, so it's been on the books for a while.
Okay. Otherwise, I was thinking it was cheap money. We could put some other,
That one's not,
not, but it's not cheap money.
right. Vicki, do you remember what the electric fund is currently at? Isn't that 4%,
Get it.
6%? The electric fund is currently at 6%, so that's gonna be a good chunk in
Yeah.
savings there.
Yeah.
I'd move that we pay off the 4 loans as presented by the city manager.
Second.
We have a motion and supported by Commissioner Olson. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried. Nice job. Getting that together.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of cash up front, but, I mean, it is, but it saves a lot of money in the interest. All right, next item on the agenda will be financing for a DPW pickup truck.
Yeah, Vicki's gonna handle this one.
Ah,
Excuse me, at the May 13th commission meeting, the commission approved the purchase of the DPW pickup truck. And this staff report is for the financing of it. And I contacted 2 of the 2 local banks, Bay Bank and First Bank. Staff is recommending that we go with First Bank for the financing in the amount of $20,484. They came back with 2.2% at 7 years. So what we are looking for tonight is just to have the commission approve to move ahead with First Bank for the financing and to allow Kim Berry, the city clerk, and myself as the treasurer to move forward with signing the appropriate documents.
thank you. Is there any questions from the commission?
That was 2.3%?
2.2 for 7 years.
Okay. It's,
And I think that comes into $263 a month.
okay.
I'd move that we approve the financing through First Bank and allow the treasurer and clerk to sign the documentation.
Support.
We have motion by Commissioner Madden, supported by Commissioner Mackey. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Very good,
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda will be set solid waste rates. Mr. Lund?
This is wrong. It's gotta be 1860. Seriously.
Good evening. I guess it's that time of year to revisit utility rates. This is the second year now that we've went from basically from, it used to be about 50% of our revenue was millage, and the other 50% was rates. This is the second year we did away with the millage and are going strictly with rates. I am requesting it's a 2% increase. The average homeowner will go from $15 a month to $15.30, so it's a 30-cent increase a month.
What's the fund balance in the solid waste fund right now?
I could not tell you that offhand.
Are we eating into our fund balance with current rates, or are we holding our own? Are we building the fund balance?
We're not going in the hole.
No, I think
we're not-
we're building, but not, you know, we're looking at, with this rate increases, $5,700, which isn't a whole lot when you consider it's over a $400,000 a year fund.
And you want to buy a backup truck for this fund, right?
Eventually, yes.
I thought you were going to do that this year.
No.
Oh.
Unless a really good deal comes along.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you told us you wanted to buy a backup truck
No,
this year
that's-
because when that truck is down, then you got to go the old method, and that's labor intensive.
Yeah. At some point, buy a good used
And
one.
you'd buy a truck out of fund balance, right?
I'd like to, yes.
Do you have enough fund balance right now to buy the truck?
I don't, probably not, unless we found a good used one. I mean, there's decent used ones out there. It's not like we need a new one.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have Danny.
Yeah.
So the way I'm looking at this is for the average homeowner, the trash pickup will go to $11.20, monthly charge to $4.10, and if they're recycling to $3.10. So they're looking at it was $18 to $18.40.
No, that recycling, that is for if you do not have trash pickup. If
Okay,
you do have
gotcha.
trash pickup, it's free, but we have some businesses that have dumpsters that also want recycling. Well, that's the cost of
Okay.
recycling.
Okay, so 15. So it's 30 cents
30 cents,
per
yes.
month. Okay.
Is there a reason that the trash pickup outside city limits didn't go no, it did go.
We went 30
That's
cents also.
2%, right. You,
I corrected myself.
okay. Well, good.
Anything else?
Move to approve their, oh, you have a question?
No. Well, I was just gonna make a comment, the tipping fees at the landfill have gone up slightly, so this kind of keeps pace with those tipping fees. I think it's something that it's wise to do.
Well, that would be the kind of a thing that you'd have to start eating into your equity if you didn't raise your rate.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, the other consideration is what's diesel at currently? You've seen a significant
$4 and
80-some cents.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you've seen a significant increase in fuel as well. So
I'd move to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Mackey, seconded by Commissioner Mattinen. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda will be the setting of electric rates. Ms. Falcon?
We are not proposing any rate adjustments for the electric fund.
I guess there are some that are lower than others, and I was kind of hoping that COM would kind of raise those up with the rest, because we're having some parties that are getting for 10 cents a kilowatt hour, and others are paying 12 cents a kilowatt hour. And then granted, most of those are the all-electric homes type of thing, and I feel that's too much of a discrepancy. You know, a half cent to a cent would be maybe reasonable.
Well, the all-electric category, that's not available to any new customers.
Correct.
So there's very few left on our system. When those,
Okay.
turn over, they will not go back to an all-electric. So the number of customers on that all-electric rate is very minimal.
Okay.
So,
Also, just from being in the industry and dealing with, downstate power companies, I know Consumers Power offers a 35% discount. The way they do that is during what they predetermine the heating season is. If it's an all-electric house, they knock 35% off of the total bill of everything in the house, which is a far more significant discount than what we currently have. Other places like Detroit Edison, if you have for example, a geothermal or something like that, you're looking at about 1/3 when it comes to, it's like 4.5 cents per kilowatt hour, where the normal charge is somewhere around 10 to 10.5. So other organizations give significant discounts in that respect.
No. Is that right or wrong?
I'm just providing the information, not the moral compass.
No. And then, there are some, like small power, gets it for 10 cents. And, large power also is quite a bit cheaper. And I think one of the reasons why I'd kind of go that way is we want to discourage as much winter use, because that's when I think we're still peaking in the winter here. Our peak usage is winter as opposed to summer air conditioning, which once you get south of the 45th parallel, then it's air conditioning in the summer that peaks it. So, but no, if you say there's minimal,
well,
put that on Tom's list for next year.
WPPI did a rate study for us for our electric department, and they proposed like a 1.5% rate increase. But they make some assumptions that we didn't totally agree with.
Right.
So that's why we're not going with their, make money, a certain amount of money based on the market and whatever, and
Dividends.
Tom and I didn't feel that we were really fitting into that
No, I
model.
agree.
So,
No. I move that we keep the electric rates as last year.
Support?
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Gay. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, next item will be the setting of water rates. Mr. Buckman.
As we discussed at our budget meetings, I had proposed a 25-cent increase in water and a 25-cent increase in wastewater for this year. I've enclosed the AWWA, the group that we're in, just completed our every 5-year survey of the Upper Peninsula, and you can see I gave you the alphabetical version and the version by the amount. And let's see, even with this rate increase, we'll still be over $9 below the average in the UP for 5,000 gallons. The reason for the increase is for infrastructure. We want to start working on the wastewater plant. Later in the program tonight, I'm asking for an application for a planning grant so we can get our surface water revolving loan fund or one of the other fund rolling for the wastewater plant. Were there any questions?
You mentioned we're at $9 per month below 5,000 gallon usage.
The
Below the average. Have you ever looked at what the fund balances are of those water funds in those communities that charge so much more for water? Why their rate is different than ours?
A lot of them have just put large capital expenditures or have, I don't want to say gotten in bed with, but they've gotten a loan from the federal government, and if you get a loan from the federal government,
They'll tell you what to charge.
they tell you what you charge. And if we were to go right now, our wastewater rates would have to be 1.5% of the mean household income. Our mean household income is 40,400 and something. So our rates would have to be about $53 a month for wastewater, which I don't think anybody sitting up there would like to do right now. So
I knew that was the answer, but.
yeah, that'd be about a $20 increase in rates. So, but if you read,
On the other
it's on
hand,
the-
if you charge that kind of rate, you would have one heck of a fund balance to do some projects with, wouldn't you?
yeah, we've had 2 years of good fund balances in wastewater, and we're getting to the point where we can, make the needed improvements to the
Actually,
plant.
right now you're on water.
What?
You're on water right now, aren't you?
Oh, sorry about that. I get them mixed up.
No, don't do that. That would be bad.
Which one did I drink at today?
Oh, my God. Water, that is.
I'd move that we approve the increase in water rate at 25 cents per 1,000 gallons.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Mattinen, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, now we're on to the wastewater rates,
Which I
Mr.
had
Buckman.
already talked about. Same thing. Our average for 5,000 gallons for wastewater would be to move to $36.75. And the Rapid River rate would go up the same percentage plus their rate is 5% higher than ours.
When you do a rate increase, do you see any diminishing usage? Diminishing returns, that idea? People are more
We have
concerned?
noticed with the lawn watering, we've seen the wastewater is held pretty steady, but I'm hoping this will be the last one for a couple years. Just we're gonna see where we're sitting and look at what the project costs are gonna be, and we'll go from there. If you look at the Rapid River rates, after you take out their debt service, Rapid River's rate is $30.71, and our rate is $36.75. And everyone would say, well, Rapid River's getting their wastewater for cheaper, but they gave us. They don't pay a readiness to serve because they gave us like a 500,000 or a
300, it was pretty substantial.
300,000 tap fee up front. Their rate for 5,000 gallons with their debt service is over $60 for 5,000. So.
Any discussion or comments for Mr. Buckman?
I'd move that we increase the wastewater rate 25 cents per 1,000 gallons.
Support.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gay, seconded by Commissioner Mackey. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. All right. Next item would be the S2 grant application.
Yeah, a couple years ago, the S2 grant came out, and we weren't really prepared to apply for it. And then Pat Quinn and I were at a meeting this spring, and then I just checked lately, and there's still about $3 million available for S2 planning grants. And what this does is you can set up your project plan to apply for state revolving loan fund money or the SQIF money, the other grant or loan, which is the Surface Water Quality Initiative Fund. And there's also another new one that's coming out that's called the SAW grant, which will be available next year. So this is the first stage, because the grant is quite detailed. I got a price from C2AE, which is the only local firm that's done several of these, and every one they've done, they've gotten. And then the nice thing is if we pay them, the $1,500 they have proposed, if we get the grant, 90% of that will be refunded through the grant. So,
What do you want to do specifically?
second primary clarifier, upgrade the headworks, upgrade the lab, new digester, new heating system, upgrade the digester.
Is this something that goes with your way of thinking?
Yeah, we have a general plan that we're following. Some things are getting to the point where we have to do them sooner rather than later. So, C2AE has done the applications for Marquette, Newberry, Ironwood, and Iron River, and they've been successful in each one of those places. So.
The wastewater plant is quite a bit newer than the water plant, so I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't be the water plant, but we've just talked about that before, what your plan is there.
Yeah.
So.
Is there any questions for Mr. Buckman?
I move that we accept the proposal from C2AE.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Mattinen, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. Next item will be the 2013-2014 fee schedule. Ms. Falcon.
Last year, we created this one document, fee schedule. We did a lot of research, on other people's websites and stuff. And when we looked for our rates on our website, you had to go to the water page to get the water rate and the wastewater page to get the wastewater rate. So we combined it all into one document. You did approve earlier, the individual solid waste, electric, water, whatever. Those are in here as well, but there's also other fees identified in here. So this is adopting everything else except water, wastewater, solid waste,
I'm taking it then the stuff that's highlighted in yellow is the changes? Yeah, that's all right. Thank you.
So just a couple additional.
Is there any questions for Ms. Falcon before we move on? Just have a couple of things. This might come into play when we're looking at the clarifying or changing some of the ordinance with the metal detecting, but I'm noticing some of these things like medicine show. We may have to start looking at some of those as well. I know it's cumbersome, I know it's time consuming, so when I'm saying that, I'm not expecting, within the next couple of months, but
Those
that,
are
yeah.
actually right out of the ordinance.
I know,
Yeah,
I know
so
they
they're
are.
listed, but
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
So that's just some things we'd probably have to take a look at, just to clean it up is all. Nothing major. Is there any other comments, questions? If I'm not mistaken, I think most of this has already been, we discussed this during our budget workshops too, if I'm
Right.
not mistaken.
I move that we approve the fee schedule as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Mattinen, seconded by Commissioner Mackey. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, next item will be the Farmers Market Grant Program. Ms. Barron.
Good evening. Before you is a request for the Farmers Market Grant Program. It is actually a proposal, an RFP proposal that was sent out through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. It's designed to support existing farmers markets. You have to be in business for 4 years or more to be eligible. There's only certain things that they'll cover. We're not 100% certain of the items that they will cover. What they categorize is infrastructure and marketing as their two big categories, but we need to get some clarification on the items that we can do. We're not 100% certain what we want to use this grant for. We have some pie in the sky ideas, but they're not really firmed up yet. The grant would require a 50-50 match for funding, and it was just in our brief conversations that we've had on it internally, it was thought that we would probably use DDA funds to match it, especially now that we've moved the farmers market downtown. And tonight was our first night down there, so I hope everybody got a chance to go down there and take a peek. I almost ran into a pedestrian rubbernecking, trying to see what was going on. Any questions on it or concerns? Oh, the grant amount, the minimum amount is 10 grand is what they require you to seek. We can shoot for up to 50,000. We do have, like I said, some very preliminary ideas that I kind of hesitate to talk about in public just because they're so preliminary, and I don't really want to get people's hopes up about what we're thinking about, but...
What's the deadline for this grant application?
I have it over there by Barry. I knew I needed to get
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry, it's right in front of me, never mind.
Yep, July 1st. I didn't realize I put it on there. But there is a question and answer period, or time when you can submit questions where they'll submit all the answers, and that is June 21st. So I wanted to get this before you guys, before we shot all our questions to them to see if our ideas could be funded.
Are there any restrictions? I mean, usually when you get a grant, then that puts some restrictions on
Yeah,
you.
it didn't say anything, as far as do we have to raise the entry fees or anything like that. There was nothing in there about that. I like sometimes when the grants will put things that are eligible and like give you tangible things, or where you can look at what projects were funded the years previous, but I couldn't find any of that either, so I don't know if this is the first year that they've done this.
Okay.
It didn't say, that you could use it for personnel or staffing or anything like that. So those are all questions I'm hoping I can get answered in the question and answer time frame.
But just moving it to the new location that we did, we did have to purchase some tents because previously they were underneath the big pavilion. That was their shade. Now they're in a parking lot. We needed to provide tents. We're using tables from the sports park, so that's going to be, transporting tables. So we would like to buy some tables. One thing a lot of us noticed down here, signage. There was no signage.
Yep, signage, marketing, minimally we'll do some kind of basic ideas proposing. We definitely, originally we wanted multicolored tents, but our budget was kind of slim, and we were just trying to get it started. So the blue and white ones were on sale. So we have all blue and white, but we'd like to get some red and green and other colors too. So
it looks very nice.
Yeah, it does. It's definitely a great start and looks awesome. The Public Health sent us this grant opportunity in their email that they sent to us. There are only certain entities that are eligible for this. As the health department, they weren't eligible, but we as the city were. So it was nice of them to pass that along to us and encourage us to apply.
Thank you. I apologize for not being at the farmer's market tonight. I did forget about it.
I only drove by it. Darla was there though the
Yeah.
whole time.
The market master, Jim Grzinski, said he was very pleased with today's turnout.
Good.
So for being in a new location,
That'd be good.
it was good.
We really kind of hope that we can spill it out onto the street a little more, so it's not so tucked away in there. And I think as we grow, that'll be something we do.
Well, and
I could hear the music when I went by. So
that's our hopes, is to generate the foot traffic downtown.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
good. Any other questions?
Move that we approve staff to submit an application for the farmers market grant program.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gay, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Is any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Good work. Okay, next item will be the DDA storefront for 720 Delta Avenue. Ms. Barron again.
And I see there's a typo on this, I apologize. The DDA approved 2 facade grants, not 3, for this project on May 14th.
the total project cost for this project, he has estimated at 24,000, around 20, just a little over 24,000. The DDA approved funding up to 15 grand. The owner has already put a lot of money into the building. He estimated about an additional 15,000. So he's got quite a considerable match with the facade and the extra work that he's already put into the building. The building itself, if you haven't been down there, they do detailing in one of the bays. Really encourage you to check it out. A couple of the staff have used them and said it was really nicely done. As well as a traditional car wash. He has some future plans to maybe, he's seen this in other cities, I've not seen it yet, but they have pet washes. You use one of the bays to bring your animal in, and you can do a dog wash. I've not seen it. I'm pretty sure we don't want cats in there, but dogs might be all right. So kind of interesting to see if he grows and expands that.
I go by there, not quite frequently, but frequent enough. Is his plans, do you know, in the future to maybe have a fence between his car wash and maybe to the east? I just don't know if he's running into any issues with residents parking, taking up some of his spot for his business or not.
Yeah, I've not heard of any complaints or anything.
It just looks very close because it kind of blends in together right there. Okay.
That would have been something that we, could have addressed through the planning commission process when they opened up there. But there hasn't been any complaints or concerns either from either
side.
party.
Okay, good.
So
All right.
maybe that's a good thing.
Yep. Good.
I move that we approve the grant project funds in the amount of 15,000. Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Mattinen, seconded by Commissioner Mackey. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item will be the, hold on here. Give me a second. I think I got mine mixed up. Okay, next item will be the resolution number 2013-06. Will be the K&M Industrial Incorporated Industrial Facilities Exemption Certificate for a new facility application. It's reapproved, required per state treasury.
This should sound very familiar. Not too long ago, you approved both the PA 328 and PA 198 for K&M Industrial. However, the state is requiring us to have two separate resolutions. So that's why you have 2013-06A would be for the PA 328 exemption, 100% exemption of personal property for up to 7 years is the one before you right now.
Okay, is there any questions for Ms. Falcon? Okay, hearing none. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's a roll call vote for resolution.
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm so sick of treasury. I'm so mad about these. Commissioner Gay.
Yes.
Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Commissioner Mattinen.
Yes.
Commissioner Mackey.
Yes.
Mayor Hunter.
yes. Yeah, motion's passed. The only reason I remembered, because you had it down
Before.
how we had it.
Yeah, I can't keep up with treasury. They change moment by moment.
All right, we're going to move on now to the resolution number 2013-07. Again, the K&M Industrial Incorporated new personal property exemption application. Reapproving again.
So the PA 198 before you right now is for 50% exemption for real and personal. At one time, the PA 328 was not an option. That's why this PA 198 is still for real and personal. But that's for a 50% exemption for up to 12 years.
Is there any questions for Ms. Falcon? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gay.
Yes.
Commissioner Mattinen.
Yes.
Commissioner Mackey.
Yes.
Commissioner Olson.
Yes.
Mayor Hunter.
Both resolutions been adopted. Okay, we'll move on. Now we're to Q. I just said it because she said, I've never seen Q before. All right, next item will be the payment of the bills.
We have bills tonight before us in the amount of $12,290.30. Pretty standard bills there. May accounts payable, $268,079.08. And May's payroll, $283,558.77. Just for information.
Very good. Is there any questions?
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gay and seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion is carried. All right, next item will be the city manager's report.
I don't have too much. I've been taking a little time off last week and early this week. We do have DDA tomorrow morning at 7:30, and I have an EDC meeting tomorrow at 11:30. Wednesday morning, I think I'm going to hit the library meeting, be off the rest of the day, and then Matt and I are going to head to Bessemer on Thursday for the MML regional meeting. Not spending the night, just hitting the day sessions. Miss Kennedy from MML sent me an email and said this is one of the sessions there is one of 6. So I thought,
You're driving
If
up
you
and
miss-
back on the same day?
Yeah.
That's 3 hours up there.
Yeah.
That's a long way. Oh. Wow.
I'm used to it. I go there all the time.
That's traveling in the UP.
Once a week.
Yeah.
so to hit that MML session, identifying your community and marketing and all that, I thought that would be a good session to hit.
Good.
Yeah.
And you'll already
I'll
be
be
there.
there as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
That's it.
That's it?
There's probably more, but
Yeah, I know. That's fine. All right, next item will be the city commission, city committee reports, and board and commission reports, kind of a combination of all 4. Anything by the commissioners? No? All right. We're gonna head back to public comment. No, you don't have to, no. All right, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Manning.
I have none, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Olson?
There's some information that came out with the commissioner's packet concerning the tax tribunal. And one of the things that the judge did offer was to go for some expenses. I'm not necessarily recommending that we go for expenses, but I'm assuming that our assessor has been paid these expenses or has not been paid these expenses.
we have reimbursed her anytime she has, motel, gas, whatever.
Okay.
Any extra expense she incurred by having to attend this on our behalf, we've paid her for it, but we could also itemize that and send it to the judge for the city to be reimbursed.
I think they were talking more along lines of having to hire an independent appraiser and an attorney to represent us. I think is probably what the judge really would have allowed us to go after.
Oh,
Those are extraordinary costs over and above our assessor. I would think that's probably what they're talking about.
Okay.
Not discounting what you're saying there either. We could have itemized that too.
Right.
yeah. Okay.
Because when I read this,
All expenses.
it does say, entertain a petition from the city for compensation from the petitioner for all costs associated with the hearing, gathering information, materials, etc.
Gas, room, meals, mailing, paper, bridge fees, time, etc. That means travel.
Yep.
And
The only, I'll refrain from right now.
Do we have a feeling how much those expenses are?
Did she turn in a?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we got the government rates, the hotels, I think that's like $84 somewhere around there, but, for the hotel, per mileage, was 56 minutes, the top of my, on the bridge, and stuff like that. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what her, like, the total was on there, but.
But I'm thinking attorney fees.
Right, yeah, I don't
and
know any of
appraisal.
that.
Those would be far in excess of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing a time frame on this, so that it may behoove us to look in and itemize that, and if we so choose to go that direction, at least we have some numbers or some figures in front of us, because I read through this as well, and I did not see where the judge limited a time frame for the city to petition that.
It might be interesting to see the numbers on this.
Yeah.
Just to see what it would actually cost us.
I mean,
This isn't the hearing, though. Are you getting confused with the one where we hired Attorney Bergman and the appraiser?
Actually, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
right.
This one, we didn't hire any extra attorney or
No.
Extra
We
attorney.
did do an
appraiser.
appraisal though, didn't we, for that one?
just what she did internally here.
Okay, well then,
Then it's,
forget what I said.
I mean, she spent probably more time internally, researching, but we didn't hire an attorney or an appraiser.
I've traveled many times in government, and I don't know, off the top of my head, you're looking at somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500 probably for this endeavor. I'm just guessing, but
I guess my bottom line is is if we can have some of this information available, we can use that as a discouragement to those people that want to submit these, that they better be quite serious about it and have a good case. That was the type of thing where I was headed.
You don't know you're going to get the same judge again and the same, outcome.
Right. No, you don't.
The only problem I have with this is the fact that the petitioner never showed. That's
Right.
one of the reasons why it was found in our favor. Not saying it wasn't from what Ms. Esch also did, because he also mentioned that as well. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm just a little, I'll say it. But.
I guess I wouldn't use the word discourage, because I would never discourage anybody for petitioning government
Right,
for
that's their
redress
appeal
of
process.
grievances. That's the process. However, this is something that cost the city money,
Right.
and the petitioner did not show up.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know that I would use the word discourage. It's just,
Okay.
if you take it seriously, if you have
It
a
reminds
legitimate
me of
complaint.
It reminds me of writing
Yeah.
a ticket, and the person admits to the magistrate at the time of the informal hearing that, yeah, I knew I was guilty, but I was just hoping that the
Hoping he
cop
didn't show up.
up.
Right, yeah.
Perhaps a previous matter that we were discussing led them to believe that there would be a different outcome on this one as well, and it didn't work out that way.
Yeah. So, no, I don't want staff to go to,
No,
A
we
lot
can
of
put
work.
some numbers together, though, if we feel it's not worth, trying to recoup or,
right, just to let people know that it does cost.
yep.
And I agree also with Commissioner Gay.
I was just gonna ask are you saying you want that presented, just even, then you can make the decision if you're, because
Yes.
the commission would have to
Correct.
make that action at the next one if you wanted to go for those.
Okay,
And you can decide not to.
that makes
Yeah.
it more formal and, okay. Thank you.
When you do that, could you also have the assessor present us what the dollars were in taxes that were being disputed? What the difference would have been had the case been lost versus the outcome we did get?
Yeah, and the assessor's time.
Yeah, we can put that all together in a spreadsheet and then present it, and if you so choose to continue on to get reimbursement, then you'd have to take that action, but if not, you take that action, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. or Commissioner Olson.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gay?
A couple things. Dell Street project, doing a great job. I know there is some people with some concerns initially, but I think it looks great, and I think ultimately the city is going to be better for it, and Delta will definitely be beautified as a result. Not to mention the fact that that was the only way we were going to be able to do that project and completely reconstruct that road. I've had a lot of positive comments on it. which has been kind of surprising. But I think it looks great. I think it's been done professionally and real good job. The docks in the harbor, just absolutely phenomenal. They look great. I think that's going to help our harbor. I think it's a huge draw to the harbor. I think ultimately, I think that's going to help commerce in the city. They did a great job getting them put in. Are all of the utilities hooked up yet, or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I didn't think they were, but I know it's in the process. It takes a little time, but that harbor is just, it looks like a, Class Alpha harbor now. Looks great.
Tentatively July 3rd, we are planning a new dock grand opening kind of
Break the
celebration.
champagne bottle.
So we'll let you know the details.
Okay, yeah, it just looks good. The other thing I wanted to do was at the kids fishing derby this past weekend, our public safety department was down there. They had the hovercraft, search and rescue was down there, and I know the kids enjoyed that. I wanted to thank them for taking time out of their day to come down. And that's real good PR, especially with the youth of the community. Make it so that they understand it's okay to approach a police officer. They are your friend. So I just wanted to thank public safety and all the search and rescue for taking time to come down there and hang out with the kids. That's all I've got.
Very good, thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Mackey.
You took some of what I was going to say, so I'll take a different approach on it. When I got back from Alaska, I wanted to see how the farmers market, the harbor, the Delta Avenue, North 9th Street projects are going. I was very pleasantly surprised. Kudos to the staff. And on the Bessie decision, the MTT decision, I think their assessor did a really fantastic job, and thank you to our assessor.
Is that it?
Yep.
Very good, thank you. Thank you. Well, I'll echo the last two comments, because you guys did take, it's always staying last or going last, but that's all right. I would like to announce something to the commission. Just received a letter, and I knew about this because Mr. Butch had contacted me. I spoke to him on the phone, but just received the letter, and he does CC this to the Gladstone City Commission as well, and also to our city clerk. But it's a formal letter of acknowledging that he is going to be retiring from his service as city attorney effective August the 1st. So I was reading through this, and his math is correct. He has served approximately 38 and a half years as a city attorney for Gladstone. So I'm sure it's well worth the retirement for him. So, known Mr. Butch for a very long time. He is also the attorney for, I should say for my father-in-law, but for acting for the city, or excuse me, the Gladstone schools. My father-in-law was the superintendent there, so that's when I first got to know him, when I married and moved here, and was carried on through the commission. So, very wise man, a very good person, and an outstanding citizen for the city of Gladstone. So,
I echo that comment, but I think we should do something for him.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think we should do something formally to recognize him. Tom's an icon or an institution, if you will. Tom's a friend of mine, but I've also worked with him a lot through the years, and I think his service was way up and above and beyond to the community with two major institutions of schools in the city. I think we can do something, have a Tom Butch Day or something. I don't know.
Ride in the parade?
Well, that's already decided, I think, isn't it?
No, but I mean, a second vehicle possibly.
I just think some kind of a community day here at City Hall, or where people can come in and give him a pat on the back and say thank you and wish him well in his retirement.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. And I think I'd call him first, make sure.
Well,
that's something
absolutely,
that
absolutely, yep.
Because it's one thing he
yeah,
doesn't
but
really
don't
care
plan a
for.
party and then have not show up.
Well, no, he's just he's one of those kind of guys that doesn't really
Yes.
seem to want to be in the
Yes.
spotlight. So,
Yes.
but I think you're right on that part. So, that's all I have. Other than the fact, I think summer's finally here. I don't think we'll be watching any snow flying anytime soon. I hope not. So, very good. Anything else before you adjourn? Nothing? No? All right, we're adjourned.